celebrate the launch of Danielle's Yellow Brick War. But before we begin, I want to run through a couple of housekeeping things and exciting announcements. So after the Q&A, we will have a signing in the back of the store. You can all meet Danielle and take pictures and get your book signed. And once again, that'll be in the back of the store. We'll call you up by number, which you can go up and get at the register if you don't yet have a number. And that way you can relax and browse the shelves instead of just waiting in line. We also have two very special YA authors coming out this May. Kimberly McCrite will be here May 12th to celebrate the release of her YA debut, The Outliers. And we will also have Jennifer L. Armentrout here to release on her Problem with Forever tour.
I just read it. Yeah, I just blurbed it, hopefully. I hope you like my blurb, but yeah, I just read it like literally on the plane on Sunday. It's amazing.
Yeah, no, I'm like dying. Like, so,
and she's like the nicest.
Yeah, I'm so excited. So if you guys are just as excited as I am, you guys can RSVP over at the register. And most of all, I am so thrilled to introduce Danielle Paige, who is here with us tonight. She is the New York Times bestselling author of Dorothy Must Die, The Wicked Will Rise, The Yellow Brick War, and the upcoming Stealing Snow series, which will be out in fall 2016, which I'm so excited for. In addition to writing young adult books, something you might not know, Danielle works in the television industry, where she's received a Writers Guild of America award and was nominated for several daytime Emmys. She is a graduate of Columbia University and currently lives in New York City. We are so excited to celebrate the release of Yellow Brick War, and I hope you all grow to love Danielle as much as I do.
Aw, that's so sweet. Thank you. Thank you for having me. The store is so adorable. It's so pretty.
Yeah. Okay, so Danielle, could you tell us a little bit about the world of Amy Gum and how it will continue in Yellow Brick War without any spoilers?
Okay, well that's the hard part, right? We're just talking about that. Okay, if you haven't read any of the series, Dorothy Must Die is about another girl who lands in Kansas, this time via a trailer, also a tornado, obviously, and she has to fight a now evil Dorothy. So everything that you know about Oz is like kind of flipped. So everyone that was good is now bad, everyone that was bad is now good. The Wicked Witches are now a revolutionary order of formerly Wicked Witches, and they join with Amy to take down Dorothy. But first she's got to take the Tin Man's Heart, the Lion's Courage, and the Scarecrow's Brains, because now they are just as evil as Dorothy is, and then Dorothy must die. So that's the premise of the series. And in the second book, well, obviously Amy did not kill Dorothy in the first book because there's a third book. So, so in the third book, Amy and Dorothy somehow end up back in Kansas. I'm not going to tell you how. And so Amy has to face all of her problems that she had before she left. And her mom had a drug problem, and she had this girl at school that used to bully her, and she's got to face that stuff. That's my goddaughter in the back. And so she's got to face her old world, basically. So that's what it's a, can you really go home again? And neither Amy or Dorothy really want to at this point.
So good. So how did you come up with the concept of Dorothy Must Die?
I guess for me, I always wondered what happened when Dorothy did go home. Like I just thought, like, if you had this fabulous world with magic and you had friends finally, wouldn't you want to go back? And so I thought, well, maybe she would start really, really wanting to go back, and out of that she became a little darker. And once she got darker, the whole idea of Oz got darker for me, and here we are.
Yeah, that's so interesting. So before you were an author, you were an award-winning screenwriter. What led you to write young adult novels?
It was a career choice in a weird way, because soap operas were drying up. When I first started doing soaps, there were 11 of them. My friend Natasha's here, and she could attest to that. She worked with me. And then suddenly there were 4. And like I was still in my 20s and I didn't know what to do with my life, and I had to figure it out. And first I did this TV show, well, I almost did a TV show with MTV, and it was about an Ivy League soap opera, and it was these kids, and I loved writing it, and I was like, well, what else can I do in that space? And I always liked writing teenagers when I was writing Guiding Light, and that was the soap I used to work on, and so I thought, well, and that's from there, I was like, let's try this, so that's how Dorothy came to be.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so what does a typical workday look like when you're writing?
It's not pretty. There's just like pajamas. No. I usually get up pretty late. And then I just go get coffee and I read the pages from the day before that I printed out at a coffee shop, and then I start writing. So I probably start writing around like 10:30, 11. And I spend a normal day. I try to make a habit of like seeing people if I can, like make a couple lunch dates or dinner dates a week, because otherwise you spend all your time alone, and then you talk to your coffee shop people and you really get really close to them. I have a really cool coffee shop in New York that I go to. It's called Stumptown, and it's in the Ace Hotel, and it's like it's filled with artists and writers and donuts. And it's great, and the coffee's really good. And so I do that every day. But yeah, that's my routine.
Yeah. Okay. So many of us are still in high school. Did you always know you wanted to be a writer back when you were in high school, or were you totally set on something else?
Oh, I was like born wanting to be a writer. I remember being in first grade, and I don't know if you guys do this anymore. You probably have like some digital equivalent of this, but every first grader got to make a book, and it was like that wall. Like it would be covered like basically it was like a little cardboard book that they like wallpapered the cover of, and you write a story. And I was like, I thought it was I wrote about a unicorn and a princess. I thought it was the most brilliant thing that had ever been written, and I was sure that I was an author like at like 6. But it didn't seem like the most practical career. And my parents were like, yeah, you need to find something that is like, that, you know, you can actually make money at. So I picked journalism, which is not so practical anymore, but at the time it seemed like a good path. So I was like the editor of because I love writing, no matter whether it was nonfiction or not, I loved a story. And so I became the editor of my school junior high paper and my senior high paper, and then when I went to college, I thought I was going for journalism school. And in my senior year at Columbia, I took 2 internships. One at Paper Magazine, which is this really hip magazine, and hip seems like the wrong word. Is there a cooler word than that? But it was really cool and edgy. It was very edgy, and I was not edgy. And I took an internship at Guiding Light, and I like fell in love with it. There were cute actors, and I got to research story. I was like the writer's assistant, and I found out about script writing, and I was really excited about that. So I took a job there when I graduated. After being a production assistant, I moved up to being a writer's assistant, and eventually someone gave me a shot at writing scripts. But first, I wrote these little scenes that filled in when a show was too short, and yeah, I just fell in love with it. It was great. What was the question? Was that the question?
Yeah, you answered it.
Yeah, I did. Did I answer it? Okay.
Yeah.
Because I just start talking and then I just keep going. Yeah.
It's okay.
Yeah.
So, which character in Dorothy Must Die do you think you identify with the most?
I'd say a little Dorothy and a lot of Amy. Dorothy for the shoes, and and a little, she's spunky, a little evil. I don't think I'm evil, or she's just misunderstood. But Amy, I think I did not grow up in a trailer park, and I did not have the struggles that she had. But I do think as a writer, there's that constant like, how do you get there feeling, and I think I identify with the journey, and just continuing to go no matter what. And also her sarcasm, I think I have a lot of that, even if it's not always out loud. So Amy and a little Dorothy.
Okay. So what has been the coolest moment for you after being a published author?
I think that you just I think doing other types of writing, you don't have this relationship with your audience. Like as a soap writer, I loved the actual experience of writing and then seeing what you wrote on screen. But I think I never thought about like writing something and then knowing the people that you were writing for. Like there was not a Twitter like when I started. And so when I started doing the books, like the idea that you wrote something and then someone tweeted about it, it was like, wait, you read my book. It was like the best thing ever. And then beyond that, like when actual experiences that I had, like my very first tour was with Kira Cass and Kelly Armstrong and I'm blanking, and Kimberly Darting, and the very first stop was Irving, Texas, and like this little girl like walked up to me dressed up like Dorothy, and it was like I had been on tour for 5 minutes and there was someone dressed like a character in my book, and that was amazing for me. So I guess I'd say like it's the response. It's like knowing that people are reading you. Like you put something in the world and you get to share it with them and they like it. It's like a big hug from the world that I just did not expect. So I love that.
That's so cool. So all of us book nerds are are dying to know what is on your TBR list?
Let me think. I want to read I just finished Cinders, like the Lunar Chronicles, but I need to read Stars Above because it's like a little extra. I love that series.
Yeah.
It's like maybe my favorite retellings. I also just finished Labor Dugo's last one, and I want the next one. And we're at the same agency, so I think I want an early copy of, is it Crooked Knife?
Crooked Kingdom.
I've renamed it. I'm terrible at names. I have Burning Glass, Catherine Purdy. Yeah, because I'm going to Chicago this weekend for like their Comic-Con thing, the C2E2, and I have that. I get to read it. I want to read Heidi Hellig's Girl from Everywhere. I just got a copy of that. What are you excited about? I'm trying to think of what else do I want?
I mean, I'm dying for your Stealing the Snow series.
Well, it's done, but I will get you an arc when I can. So I'm trying to think of what else. Cassandra Clare. I want to read Midnight. What's it called? Lady Midnight. It's back there.
Lady Midnight.
I might buy it while I'm here. But I want that one. What else? I love everything. Like I really do. There's so much good stuff to read, and then when you're writing all the time, you have to like find a way to like fit it in. Like I end up reading on planes and stuff. So yeah.
So can you tell us about any upcoming projects we can look forward to?
Well, I think you mentioned it. So my next book series is called Stealing Snow, and it's out in September, the first one, and it's a Snow Queen retelling. So think like grown up Frozen, but this, if you've ever read the actual original Hans Christian Andersen thing, it's a lot darker than Frozen, and there's no like singing sisters or anything. So, so my story starts in upstate New York, and there's a girl in a mental hospital, and she does not realize that she's the Snow Queen to be. She thinks she's just completely crazy, and she's got like lots of violent episodes, and she doesn't realize that it's like her snow powers that are making her like this. So one day this really cute orderly shows up and tells her that if you run away and stop taking your meds and cross this tree, then people will kneel for you. And she's like, whatever. But her boyfriend, who also is in the mental hospital, gets kidnapped, and he disappears, and she's like, okay, well now I will go to this other land and see if I can find him. So she crosses the tree and realizes that the Snow King, her father, wants to kill her. So it's really dark and fun, and she discovers who she is and meets all these very cool people and other fairy tale characters along the way.
I can't wait. So now we're going to answer some of your questions that you guys wrote in. So what inspired you to write this series, and did you plan out each scene before writing them down?
I think a little bit of what I said before, I was thinking about what happened to Dorothy when she went back to Kansas, and that's like really where it came from for me. Like I just made her dark, and then everything else came after. What was the second part?
The second part was, did you plan out each scene before writing them down?
There's always that question of like, are you a plotter or are you a pantser? It's like the ask, and I'm a plotter. I need to know what everything's going to be, and it might be because of the soap thing, because I used to like have to follow an outline, but I need an outline. The Snow Queen one that I'm working on, I wrote this whole outline and then it changed. So every once in a while, like your characters will start to tell you like what they want to do, and that's actually kind of the fun part, because then they kind of are really more alive. But I always start with the outline.
That's interesting. So when your writing process feels stuck, what are one or two creative exercises you do to get unstuck?
I usually I take a walk and clear my head, and then I phone a friend. I have a friend that I call. And you talk. For me, I like to talk it through with someone else. Like, this is my thing, this is my problem, and I don't know what it is, but can you, and if you bounce it off with someone else, I think that really helps. And I think that we get, as writers, I think sometimes we get a little cagey about, I can't show anybody this, but I think it actually kind of helps, and, if you can get away from that preciousness, and, look at this, and tell me what you think, and sometimes just in talking about it, you find what's wrong.
Okay, so how do you create characters with such depth?
You think I do? Thank you. I don't know, for me, I think it's just you try to get inside their heads, and you try to I write everything down, and hopefully it's there.
So do you guys have any more questions?
Bookstore.
The moment you spoke, I was like, I'm interested in, I can't think of, I forgot the question.
I do that. Like I think it's like then it'll come back to you.
It must be.
I have a question. So who's your reader? It's a young reader. Do you find that a lot of adults will read your book?
I think because it's Oz, I think that it kind of it opens it up to all readers. I've had a lot of readers and their moms read my book together because it's like they both know the story of Wizard of Oz. So I think it has kind of hopefully a little bit of a Wicked effect. So like that was a grown-up book, but people are like of all ages would read it because Wizard of Oz kind of belongs to all of us, I think. So I have like a lot of 26-year-old bloggers, a lot of 14-year-olds, and a lot of there was a woman in my line in Tucson that was 80, and she read it because her granddaughter read it, and then her daughter read it, and it was like that was like a great moment for me because I used to have that with soaps, and because it's like generational, so it's kind of nice to feel that with books. So.
Yeah. This isn't really about the main characters, it's more about the characters that kind of surround them and help build them up as the story goes on, but a lot of times in books you see the background characters, the secondary characters, sometimes they're flat in some stories. How are you able to kind of give them characters of their own so they're not just there? How do you help them make them develop the plot a little more?
And my I got lucky with this series because Harper wanted to do like these novellas that went along with it, so I got to tell the backstory of almost every one of the main characters. So I got to write like 90 pages on each person, and I can't say that like if you're writing a book that you have time to write 90 pages on every person before you write your book, but I got to do it, so that gave them all backstory. So anytime you saw them, like I knew everything else about them. Another way to do it, like if you don't have that time, is I would make a list of questions for those characters, like give them the backstory, give them something else, even if you don't see it on the page, like you know it, and you bring that to every scene that you write, like that helps.
Like give them goals.
Yeah, like give them I actually
that kind of directs them when they're trying to get through the story.
Yeah, I think I ask at whatever characters and whatever, and I still say scenes because of my background, but ask whoever's in your scene, like what do they want, what are they doing here, where are they going? Each person, even if they're not the main person, they still have a journey, and you might not show it, but you should know what it is, and that makes every scene richer for you. And I like to know a little bit about each person. Like it doesn't have to like write a little bio for everybody, and that helps you. And Marissa Meyer, the writer of Cinder, she keeps a big binder of like each character, and I started doing that like on my by the I didn't know about her binder until my second book, so I was like, yeah, I'm gonna do that, and then just like write it all down so that you have this reference, because you might not remember every detail you gave to each person, but like give them like a little part of your binder, and like this is the thing, this is their backstory, this is their eye color, because you'll help your copy editor later, and you can look at it, so that I think that helps.
Did you use that for the stories, the Dorothy stories?
Yeah, it helps a lot, because it's hard to, at a certain point, it's hard to keep track of everything. And then when you got published, in your house might have somebody that's gonna go look through and make sure that you did everything right, but it's nice to have your own little history written down, I think.
Yeah. How long did it take you to get published, and how long have you been working on this book?
I got published fast, but I think my career has been really long. I think that I do count the soap years as years that led to being published. So I think that I literally ran into my editor at a writer's guild party. That's how I met the person that published Dorothy. So I didn't have a traditional, I went and got an agent and then submitted this manuscript journey, but I got there because of the other work. So I know people that write a book in a year. I know people that write a book in 4 months. I am now writing books in 4 months just because there's so many of them, and then editing in another 4 months. But it just depends on, every writer's different. And look at the Game of Thrones guy who's taking forever, and I want him to hurry up. But everyone has their own pace.
Why did you make a love story between Amy and Knox? Why didn't you just make them friends?
Do you want them to just be friends?
No.
Well, actually, I do have an answer for this. I'm just curious. No. I think the thing about like the original Bond books, like there's a lot of magic and a lot of other things, but there's not a lot of romantic love. Like the Tin Man is like, his story is like the only one that even hints at love. So I wanted to see what a modern girl would do in this world, and I think that love is something that I think if you're 16 years old, then you're gonna see that cute boy and you're gonna have some thoughts, right? So I wanted to explore that. I thought that it was kind of cool that I got to do that, and it's like the one, like Dorothy was so young in the original book, so we never saw that with her, but I love the idea of like exploring teen romance in Oz. Good question, I never heard it before.
You picked the World of Oz. Is there any reason why you picked that one? Because like it's so popular. You got Once, you have the play on Broadway. It seems to be a hot topic now, or did you always want to do a story about Oz?
When I was a kid, I watched that movie like 10 million times. I had the books, I read them over and over again. My mom was always like, why are you watching that again? You've seen that 20 times. And so and now it's like, look, Mom, it worked out. So that was, I mean, honestly, it was just that. I've always loved it, and I had a story to tell there. So I did not really think that much about like the competition, because there's a lot of it. I'm glad the people still found it and like it.
Yeah.
When you wrote Dorothy Must Die, did you know it was going to be a trilogy?
Yes, but it's not going to be a trilogy anymore. It's going to be 4, so whatever that's called. Yeah. My contract was for 3, and we decided that the third, like the story that I had planned for this book is going to fit into 2. So there's one more next year.
So you knew that before you started writing this book?
Yeah. So this ends with a cliffhanger. So don't yell at me, because there's another one. A few people like yesterday had like actually read yesterday, which is so flattering. It's like, but there's another one, right? Yeah, there's another one.
Any more questions?
Well, this is the most shallow question of all, but since you mentioned Game of Thrones.
I love Game of Thrones. How is this shallow?
No, and
Very
you're
serious.
obsessed with the magicians in our house.
Yeah.
And you have a TV background. Any
favorites or?
Well, no. Any thoughts of bringing your books to?
I would. The CW optioned it when
screen.
it first came out. And there's a pilot script and everything. But TV is like this crazy world where things get optioned and then you wait forever. Yeah. So nothing's happened with it. I would absolutely like be in love with seeing a TV show with my characters or a movie or anything. Like I would just like I want like you see it in your head, but to see it come to life would be amazing.
Super for question. If you were to get a film or TV adaptation of your book, would you want to be part of this? Would you want to be a part of the screenwriting that helped it develop?
I would, if I could. I think some people have and then some people haven't, but since I have a scriptwriting background, I would be thrilled. I'd be honored to get to do that. And some people like it to be a separate entity and not be involved, and I respect that too, but I would love it.
Since you do like Game of Thrones, and I'm definitely a fan of Game of Thrones, there's a thing called the Game of Thrones effect. And because of Game of Thrones, do you think now there's a wide market for your story now to go on air?
There's a pilot script. It's still not happened, so I think that there might. I mean, I do think there's a Game of Thrones effect because there's a lot of things like a lot of other books have been brought book to film, book to TV. It might have been like a Hunger Games effect though, because it's like that was before that. But yeah, there's Shadowhunters. Cassandra Clare's is on TV now. What else is there? I mean, The 100, which is if you see, it's so fun.
The Magicians.
But that's a little older.
It's like Hogwarts for college
but,
or something, right?
It's not young adult.
It's not young adult. It's not
the Weasley.
And you guys don't watch it yet. Like it's definitely that first episode. It's like, what is happening? But I like all TV. I like all the teen TV. Like I watch Pretty Little Liars. Like don't tell me about last night. I did not see it yet.
I think it's still going on. I quit after season 3. I was like, I can't keep this TV. Why do you have time to watch all this TV? You squeeze it in?
I'm just at home writing all the time. Like I actually like it's like a reward. Like it's like I get an hour of TV after I've written.
Do you say like, are you going to write until 6 o'clock and wherever I am, I'm done, and then go home and chill, that kind of thing?
I'm at home writing, and then I take a dinner break, and then there's like a TV reward, and then I'll go back to it if I have an idea. But it just depends. It actually depends on the deadline. If I'm early in the process, like right now, I'm done with Snow Queen. I think I've got to do a revision on a couple of novellas this week and go to Chicago. But I don't have an actual book. The next Snow Queen book is not due for another 4 months. So at this part of the process, I can like do whatever I want a little bit, which is nice. And then in a month, I will be just like completely so rigid that I have to like lock it down. Because you have to have a little bit of like social time and a break, or you're gonna go crazy, I think. Yeah.
So I'm guessing there may be an aspiring writer or two in this crowd.
I'm guessing yes.
Yeah.
Amy
So,
on the panel.
As a kind of a mentor, right, or what guidance would you offer people who are aspiring writers?
I think that there's so many different paths it seems like to get here, because like for me, I think I've had like 3 paths already. So I think for the writing itself, I think everyone always says like write what you know. I say write the thing that's kind of scary and write the thing that's a little bit further out there. Like I spent so much of my writing life like writing what I thought I was supposed to write. And then when I got to write this like crazy fantasy thing, I realized I could do more than I thought I could. So, and I think that like a lot of, there wasn't a lot of fantasy for girls like growing up. Like there was the YA section was like this small, and now it's like this huge like it's probably half the store.
Yeah.
So like for me, like it took me a while to get to that place. I used to read it and watch it, but I never tried it myself until I was like I'm not gonna say the age, but I think right outside of your box, like challenge yourself and see where you get, like if there's something to that, I think, or at least it was for me.
That's good advice.
Sorry. No, just what you said, write what is scary. That's also advice that I've been given, but I'm wondering, is there something right now for you that might be too scary or that you're not quite ready to write yet?
I just don't think I've thought about what it is yet. But yeah, I don't know. And maybe probably going back to something reality-based might be scary for me because I've gotten to this fantasy place and it's really fun for me. So if I had to go back and write something really small and nuanced and more emotional, it might be harder for me. So maybe that's my next challenge. But right now I'm enjoying where I am. I feel like the Snow Queen felt like it was a push for me, even though it was another retelling, because the original story is like this tiny and like there's not like a whole world of stuff that I can draw on. I had to make it all up. So maybe actually my next challenge would probably be to write something that's completely original with nothing to hold on to. That would be it for me.
How does that work with retellings? Does something have to be in the public domain, or how does that work?
Well, like the Snow Queen is a fairy tale that's existed for 1,000,000 years, so I think there's a Hans Christian Andersen version, so it's free and clear. Wizard of Oz was public domain, so yes, it has to be in the public domain, or it has to be like just belong to the universe like a fairy tale does. Like there are things like Little House on the Prairie is not part of the public domain. I think the whole world of YA is waiting for that moment to happen, because who doesn't love that? And yeah, so there are things that you could not write about.
Do you prefer to type on a computer, or do you prefer to write with like a pen or a pencil?
I love to write with a pen or a pencil, and I would just do that. Except now I'm on deadlines, and there's a point in the process where it's like, okay, we're only typing now. But the first draft, probably the first few chapters, I have a notebook, like a yellow notebook, legal pad, red pen for some reason, I don't know. I think I don't want anyone to correct me, and I do that. And I actually used to write my soap scripts the same way, and then I type them. And because then when you type, I always find that when you've written longhand and then you type it in, like you make changes as you type in, so you kind of self-edit, so it gives you a second pass.
What would be something about working on soap operas that you think you'd be utterly shocked to learn?
Oh God, what do you think, Natasha?
Well, I would say that the drama that went on behind the scenes was crazier than what we produced, honestly.
Yeah.
You couldn't make up the stuff that happened behind the scenes.
And I can't actually say those things here.
No,
I
you
don't
can't.
think, no. Yeah, but she's absolutely right.
So there were shenanigans going on.
Lots of
Yes.
shenanigans.
Yes. But I would say that soaps really did teach me a lot about writing, and like making things that were unbelievable sound believable. Like it was like you had this whole like we had stories that were crazy, clones and ghosts and
Embryos.
embryos. Yeah, it's craziness.
Any more questions?
I have one. So when forming your characters, do you base it on like family and friends? Do they look at you and say, "Hey, I'm Amy," or "I'm Dorothy," and what the heck? Or
No, I haven't done that yet. I really should. I should. No, well, I think in this case, except for Amy, and Dorothy, no one else is human, so it's really it knocks. But yeah, so no, I'm not pulled from real life.
okay.
Yeah.
Hello, hi. At what age did you realize that you were a great writer? And
I don't know if I was a great writer, but I was in 4th grade and we got to do our second little wallpaper book, and my teacher called me and called my parents in and thought I plagiarized the book, and they gave me this lecture about how I plagiarized it, and my parents were like, she did not plagiarize it, and I had not plagiarized it, and I was like, that is the best compliment. I was almost so much in trouble, but it was I wrote something and it was good enough for someone to think that it was not mine. And then as a grown up, I just going to college and having feedback from teachers and stuff, and they thought it was good. So it was, and I would read things and think okay, I think I'm at this level, and that would I think I could do this. Yeah.
Was your style of writing influenced by other writers that you've seen? How were you able to develop your own writing style through your career?
I'd say that I think I don't know, I think I've read other people. I don't think I sound like anybody else necessarily. I think my voice is my voice, but I could say that I've read other people and in terms of structure and what they do with their books. Again, I will go back to Marissa Meyer. I read her book before I wrote my book, and seeing what she did to her universe. I mean, it's a Cinderella in space with the cyborg, which is crazy and amazing and not at all like my book, but it was the idea that you could push a retelling that far, because I did not know that until I looked at hers, and it was it's not just oh, this is why this character is evil or whatever. She literally took a character that we all know and put them in space, and it's if she can do that, then I can have a goth munchkin, so, and yeah, and in writing my own book, I think it was those moments of finding things that made sense within that universe, and for me, seeing my goth munchkin on the Yellow Brick Road was okay, this is what, with tattoos that told the story of Oz and moved, that was the moment for me that said this is what my universe is going to be like. And things like Perma-Smile, finding things within Oz that were mine. I love doing that.
Would you consider publishing the ebooks, or you only be publishing hardback?
Oh yeah, they're ebooks too.
Maybe but solely in ebook, just do something in ebook.
I like print. I like to have things in print. I would do something that's an ebook if I felt like I needed another venue, but I like having a physical copy. I'm so old fashioned. If I could, I would never. I'm personally not even. I don't read ebooks unless I'm on a plane. I want the physical thing.
I'm the same way.
And we agree.
I wasn't even thinking I'm in a bookstore, but yeah, I totally agree.
Okay, any more questions?
I have one more. Do fans of your books send you little things that they've made, or?
I get a lot of fan art online. Last year I did this little contest of Daily Gingham where people did fan art for me, and I loved it because I draw and paint a little bit because it was my minor in college. So I love the fan art thing. And then when I go, but anytime I go anywhere, I usually get one thing, either a piece of fan art or something Dorothy related. Yesterday, Kami Garcia sent me she's a writer who wrote Beautiful Creatures. She sent these Dorothy legs, the witch's legs from underneath the house. Yeah. And it's she said that was my gift yesterday. And I'll get Oz coloring books, or someone gave me Yellow Brick Road keychains, whatever it is. There's so much Oz stuff that you get. I got a Nutcracker Tin Man last year from a fan in the mail, and it was thank you. So yeah, there's so much Oz stuff. I love it.
Okay, so we're gonna head over for the signing now. So Danielle's gonna get all set up, and then I'll start calling the numbers. So you guys can browse or hang out here.